Well, we continue coming to you live this morning out of Nasrec, the Johannesburg Expo Center, the 55th ANC National Conference, a hive of activity already. Many delegates have already arrived. Yes, media at steam at this point in time, reporting out of the conference now. The next few days are going to be extremely important for the African National Congress in terms of the policies that they will be adopting. And we know there have been many policies, and in the past as well. And many are actually saying that this could be one of the most critical conferences that the ANC would be embarking on. And at the same time, looking at who is going to take this country forward in terms of leadership. And by tomorrow evening, it's going to be interesting to see the top six of the ANC in terms of who is going to be elected, and also coming against the background of where the ANC has come from, particularly in the recent past, with regard to Pala Pala, the Section 89 report, and also last night appearance of Jacob Zuma at the conference as a delegate. Now, at around 9:15, the political report will be delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa before the ANC after lunch goes into closed plenary sessions, adopting the conference program, the rules and electoral rules for the conference, and also at the same time looking at the adoption of the organizational report. Now, that will take through right until 10 p.m. tonight. And then there's going to be an open plenary session where additional nominations for President, Deputy President, National Chair, Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, and Treasurer General will be taken from the floor. Now, we continue taking analysis of what we can actually expect over the next few days. And we're going now to be joined by Jonas Mukedi, political analyst. Jonas, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Morning, my brother, and greetings to your listeners.
Yes, wonderful you're able to join us this morning. Now, as I mentioned, it's a hive of activity. Today is the start of the National Congress. It's going to be absolutely important, critical, and shortly we will be hearing what President Cyril Ramaphosa has to say in his political report. How critical is this conference, Jonas, for the ANC, and compared to previous conferences, how different is it going to be this time around?
Look, I think this is one of the most difficult moments for the ANC because it really needs to define better whether it still remains a relevant political party for South Africans or not. And by that I mean the ANC has been declining sharply so in the electoral support. In the KZN, it has lost number of municipalities, it has lost number of metro municipalities. It has sharply declined across the country. In fact, provinces such as Gauteng and KZN are on the risk, are facing a risk ANC not ruling post 2024 unless through a coalition. So this conference indeed is a moment for the ANC to either come out united and try to preach a message of unity across its rank and file membership, or it will come out highly divided. And unfortunately, the latter is likely to be the reality. Just a couple of days before the conference, the Pala Pala matter discussed in Parliament has signified a moment of divide amongst the senior leaders of the ANC. Just last night, as you were giving in the background, former President Zuma has now served summons, or rather through the sheriff, served summons to Ramaphosa that he has criminal charges to answer to. And all of this is not just coming from ordinary members of the ANC. It comes from senior leaders who could be preaching unity at this moment. And the ANC is likely to come out of this conference highly divided. And the only consequence of that is a further decline in the electoral support, because you and I and many other people are spectating as a party that holds a number of our interests as a ruling party is facing this demand. So are we to place our confidence, our interest, our future, and all of our children's futures in the hands of a party that is at war with itself? I think that is a question that is going to bother the ANC.
Well, certainly, Jonas, and also today being the day of reconciliation, and the question is how much can the ANC, or to what extent can they reconcile within themselves, considering the differences, the factionalism that exists within the party, and is this, all about the direction that the party will be taking from this conference, or is it still going to be about personalities, or is it going to be even a combination of both, Jonas?
There's no reconciliation where people are not interested in leading the party but the state. All of the contests that we see here is people who are interested in being ministers, being in charge of number of state apparatus. It goes without saying that there's no more interest for people to debate whether or not the liberation of the South African people has reached the level that the ANC that was formed for has really reached that level or not. Here you have got individuals that want to serve in government and a number of state delivers. And such a reconciliation is important mainly because not everyone is going to have that access to the state resources and government. Therefore, there has to be a serious contest, because only the few, like it is the case with the pyramid scheme, only the few will have to make it into government appointments and this state deployment. And that is where the main issue is. These comrades are fighting to have access to resources. They are fearful of poverty. They are fearful of suffering load shedding, as you and I can or are subjected to. They want access to generators. They want access to blue lights. They want access to all form and manner of soft lives that ministers and political appointees in government have been receiving. So the reconciliation that the ANC and the possible unity that the ANC could be fighting for is neither here nor there. Look, if you remember the previous Nazareth conference in 2018, the previous Nazareth conference, the what do you call it? The current deputy president of the ANC and in the country, Didi Mabuza, went into the conference and said, "We are for unity." Mpumalanga resolved as a province towards Nazareth that they are for unity. They went into the conference. They said they are calling for unity, but post that conference, the ANC has seen the worst divide amongst themselves. The worst divide is in the formation of the ANC. So even at this point, any talk of unity is not a real talk. And there is an attempt to say, look, try and accommodate Paul Mashatile, try and accommodate perhaps John Mvula-Mngwenyana into the traditional CR slate, which even on its own is finding it difficult to even just have a compromise amongst themselves. Look, let's deal with the slate. You have a CR as a president in the CR faction. You have a Lamula who's available for deputy president, but you have Oscar Mabuyan who's also available for deputy president. And Senzo Mchunu as well, available for deputy president. All of them are supporters of Cyril Ramaphosa. We are saying this just the day of the conference, starting today. There's still no sense of compromise amongst themselves. The secretary position, you have William Balula, and you still have who's available, and you go down like that. There is no unity in that particular slate. So the false talk about the reconciliation and unity and therefore renewal is just a political statement made to make individuals sound like they have the best interest of the ANC at heart. Everybody's throwing the words of unity. Everybody's throwing the words of the need for the ANC to renew itself. But where does that renewal come from, and where does it begin? When all of them wanted to have access to all the state resources that they've been abusing over the years. So really the ANC is not interested, rather the leaders currently are not interested in any reconciliation or unity. And that is signified even with the mood in the conference. The singing of Zolim Chis, the singing of Ramaphosa song, none of these leaders have attempted to reach out to one another to really say, can we find ourselves having a united conference with an outcome that will signify compromise from all sides? I doubt that the ANC will come out reconciled and united. I actually think there may even be a possibility of a breakaway if the hostility will still continue in the manner it is.
Well, exactly. And also, I think, Jonas, another important component of this conference is policy and adopting policy. Now, we know they will come up with a lot of policies. These policies will be adopted. But just looking at previous conferences of this nature as well, where policies were adopted, these policies were not carried out. They were not implemented. And I'm sure they will be revisiting some of those policies that were adopted previously. Land without compensation is one that actually comes to mind as well. But again, looking at what the ANC has achieved in the last few years, it's been all talk. It's about policy. It's good on paper, but when it comes to practical implementation, it hasn't happened. So it's about walking the talk, and it's just not about talking all the time.
Yeah, look, I mean, this conference is not going to discuss policy. No matter how they will come out and say commissions have said and policies were reflected, I mean, that will just be a blatant lie. Policy in the ANC is discussed through NGC, which has not said now. A number of PGCs even in the provinces have not said. So basically, delegates to this conference have not even reflected about ANC policies from the normal structures of the ANC, such as RGC, PGCs, and MGC. So going into this conference, the mood is start of electing a leader of choice or preference. There's not going to be interest much in policy, except for one section of the policy framework of the ANC, and that is the step-aside policy. That is the only policy that a number of provinces have in their provincial conference taken resolutions for and against such a policy. So that is the policy where one believes there's going to be high interest in it, to try and persuade the conference to reject and withdraw that policy or adopt it and strengthen it further. But the economic policy, policies on education, policies on land, policies on any other matter that the ANC would have historically reflected on, was supposed to have at least been to the MGC. And such did not take place. Commissions, when people arrive at the conference, there's no time for debate on policies when people are over-occupied, with delegates being put one side, some are pro Ramaphosa, these ones are pro Zolim Chis, and all of that. It is only going to be a very tiny minority, and this I say, very few individuals that have went to this conference that will have the appetite of sitting in commissions to reflect about policy. But what is new to expect from the very reflection is it is just going to be the old wine in a new bottle. It's going to be the continuation of the very policies that have been adopted: Reserve Bank nationalized, expropriation of land without compensation, and empowerment of women and support of women, anti-GBV policies and stance, and all of these policies that have been adopted before that are never implemented in government. But that is just going to be a reflection by very few, small minority, in fact, of those that are into the conference. And I don't think it's worthy of saying the conference has deliberated on such matters. The conference can only deliberate on that if we're talking the full delegation of the conference, reflecting and adopting and fully aware of what they're reflecting about. But that's not going to be the case with this. At least even VC had said, I would have said there is an indication that there's a particular posture towards policy X and Y. The only policy, as I conclude, is the step-aside policy that will see a keen interest. Limpopo has resolved that policy must be scrapped. KZN has resolved that policy must be scrapped. A bigger portion of Gauteng delegates are for the policy being scrapped. This is the Adiwele group. And the Free State, with its demand, there is a bigger group that says the policy must be scrapped. So is the Northwest. So that's the only policy that I think that there might be a reflection about.
Very interesting getting your views and your analysis. And obviously, we look forward to engaging with you in the future. But for now, we thank you for taking time out, talking to us right here on Salam Media.
Thank you so much. All right.
Jonas Machedi with us this morning, and we're going to go live very, very shortly. President Cyril Ramaphosa in the open plenary session will be delivering his political report, and that will take us through to the end of the broadcast. But we've got a team out here at Salam Media, and the team is in full swing right here at the Johannesburg. In fact, it was the Nasrec and and at the same time, what we will be doing is bringing you a number of broadcasts live out of the Nasrec Center, where we are in the media center, and obviously we've brought in some new blood. We've got the team that is here. We've got myself. We've got Salilo Makudiri. We've got Zai Chadwood. We've got Anissa Mazipaka, a new blood that are going to be with us right across from the 16th to the 20th of December at Nasrec and at the Johannesburg Expo Center. So stay with us in the company of Salam Media on the various platforms for news from the ANC's 55th National Conference.